Welcome to Talking Tax Smart. Today we are going to talk a little bit about the IRS and marketing. Do you know that the IRS is probably the most misunderstood and hated federal agency in existence? And part of this has to do with their own lack of understanding business marketing. Part of it has to do with a mystique that's been created around the agency. Part of it has to do with the public and the public's ignorance and perception regarding the issue of paying taxes. One of the many hats that I wear in particularly after retirement is that I'm an adjunct professor for a couple of local universities and I teach business. And I'm currently preparing a class dealing with the issue of marketing. So the IRS has a branding issue. And the branding issue is that the perception of the public is negative. It's negative in regard to the issue of taxes. It's negative in regard to why we have to pay taxes. And it's negative in regard to understanding how the tax laws come into place. So let me address this in three different portions. Let's take the government first. The government does not take any steps to promote the issue of paying taxes as a positive thing. There are many times perceptions that are out there, as I've already talked about, that taxes are a kind of a necessary evil, but the government really doesn't promote the idea of paying taxes as a positive thing. And they have no agency within, or they have no division within the Internal Revenue Service that does this, that looks at the issue of branding. Now, in the early 1990s, when Charles Rosati became the commissioner of the IRS, and there was a restructure, which I talked about in an earlier video, the issue was kind of looked at, and there was a division that was set up to address the issue of public image and education of the public and what have you. But that division quickly digressed into the right hand not knowing what the left hand was doing. And unfortunately, they didn't bring in any outside business people, although Charles Rosati was a business person. They didn't bring anybody from the outside in who understood business well enough to deal with the issues of marketing and what have you. And so because of that, that division that they created that was supposed to reach out to the public, to offer different things for the public, kind of devolved into something that was basically run by bureaucrats who really did not understand those basic business marketing concepts. So let me just say this, that the IRS has this issue that I just discussed. They also have the issue of the fact that they will not defend themselves. Now, one of the reasons that they won't defend themselves is because of security, confidentiality for taxpayers, and I'm going to do a video that talks a little bit about the rigorous standards which are set for being able to protect the confidentiality of each individual that deals with the internal revenue. We're talking about there are multiple entities, and I'm going to do a video that gives you a better understanding of what the IRS deals with when it deals with entities. How does it view entities, and how does it protect their privacy? So the IRS basically takes the stand that whenever they're involved in a case or they're involved in something, there's a misunderstanding, they simply are just not going to address it. They're not going to get into that. We saw that, we've seen that happen publicly a couple of different places. But basically speaking, it's just kind of an unspoken rule that they will not defend themselves. So you have the issue of people not understanding how the laws are brought into effect. It's not the IRS that makes tax laws, but it's Congress. And so Congress makes the tax laws. The IRS simply administrates those tax laws. But sometimes there's confusion between what the Congress would have put together and how it actually works itself out. Those things are never really explained to the public. There's not really a big discussion about how that takes place. So you have the issue of the government. The government doesn't defend itself. It doesn't promote tax. It doesn't promote taxation as it were, as a positive thing. It's basically viewed of as a necessary evil or a negative thing, and it doesn't really reach out to its consumers. That's you and I. It doesn't reach out to its consumers to promote any type of rebranding so the taxes are seen as a good thing. You say, well, Officer Monty, how would that happen? How would we do that? Well, here's one suggestion, for example. Let's say that when people pay their taxes, so our tax system is a voluntary tax system. Yes, I know. Whenever I tell people it's a voluntary tax system, they go, yeah, no, it's not. Yeah, our tax system is a voluntary tax system with built-in incentives for compliance. Okay, but basically our tax system is a voluntary tax system. That being said, imagine how the public would perceive it if when you you filed your taxes and you paid them on time and everything was paid and you didn't owe anything, the IRS sent out I don't know, some type of an award thing, a gold star, imagine if you received in the mail, you filed and paid your taxes on time, and you received a piece of document, that said, you are a patriot, and there's a gold star. Simple, or what about the person that owes a little bit of money and they pay their tax bill off within the 6 to 9 months, so that when they start the new year, they don't owe anything else on their account. Again, when you finish paying your tax bill, you receive something from the IRS that says you are a patriot. And you say, well, that's kind of corny, but I think that you'd be surprised that would begin to give people a positive view of paying taxes means, and I think that those are just some simple steps that you could take to begin the process. So the government has issues, and one of the issues is that the IRS has definite branding issues that should be addressed and in its marketing, and they're simply not. The second issue that I would look at then would be the industry of taxation. And the industry of taxation, that is, we're talking about CPAs, tax preparers, tax attorneys, people that represent people for taxes. Generally speaking, and I'm going to make this a general comment in regard to the industry, not necessarily individuals within the industry, but there's a general attitude that has been brought up and has been fostered after many years that you are too stupid to understand taxes, and you need somebody. You need a CPA. You need a tax preparer. You need somebody to intervene on your part because of your stupidity, that you cannot understand taxes, and therefore you need to go to them. You also have a part of that industry that says when you make mistakes and you owe money to the Internal Revenue Service, there's this attitude out there that somehow you're presented as a victim. Shame on the IRS that they're coming out and they're wanting to collect taxes from you that you owe. No, the reality of it is that you're in violation of tax law, and that you are taking from the general populace because you're not paying in for the services that you are provided. And we'll talk in a moment about public perception, but that's a major issue. So you hear these commercials where they talk about the fact that we will go in, and I owed $40,000, and I went through this agency, and I paid pennies on the dollar for what I owed. Do you have any idea what it takes to owe $40,000? How much money you would be making to owe $40,000 on taxes? You'd be making a lot of money. And people who owe a lot of money to the Internal Revenue Service means that they haven't given any thought whatsoever to the issue of taxes, and they're not paying their fair share. And yet we have an industry that wants to paint people who are being confronted by the Internal Revenue for their violation of civil law to be victims. And they're not victims. They're simply not paying their fair share. And so you have this industry that has developed that tells the people that they're needed because the public is too stupid to understand tax law, and that they're needed to protect you when the IRS comes after you because of your stupidity, and you just can't do anything without them. There's a misperception out there that somehow they act as if they're some kind of miracle workers. Now, if you're a preparer, or you're a CPA, or you're somebody involved in the tax industry, and you're watching this, don't be angry with me. This is something that I've just observed over many, many years of dealing with people that are in the industry. And I'm going to do a video talking about representation and what that really means, and some of the finer tuned aspects of when you're dealing with a revenue officer or an auditor, and you have somebody who represents you in the tax industry. I'm not saying that everybody in the tax industry is bad. I'm saying that there is a general consensus out there that this is, that this is how people should view the issue of taxation. Again, it's back to a branding issue, isn't it? That the IRS is being branded as an oppressor, and that you're a victim of the oppressor, and that the industry is there to help you because of your victimhood. The third thing that I would present here is that there's a general misunderstanding within the population of the United States of what taxation represents. And going back to my first point, that the government doesn't make any effort to promote itself, or to look at the issue of branding, or to redefine the issue of taxes, the general public basically are ignorant of tax law, and there's a vast ignorance in regard to the issue of civics, how taxes are come about. The fact that we live in a constitutional republic, and we have three branches. You have the legislative, you have the administrative, and then you have the judicial. Those three branches work independent of each other, but they do have interaction. So, for example, Congress makes the laws, but then the administrative branch has the responsibility to administer those. And if there is a question over the legitimacy of a law that has been signed and put into place, then the judicial branch gets involved. Most people don't really understand that or understand how it is that the tax laws we have come into place. Most people don't understand that they may well be able to do their own taxes. They don't need help to do it because basic tax law is not complicated. The basic theory behind taxation is what? If you're going to play, you got to pay. It's just that simple. And so, but this general understanding is out there in the public. And I don't want this to sound as if I have contempt for the public because I don't. But this is an honest evaluation of where the general public is at, and the reality of it is in the United States, we are very spoiled, and our society is a society that is entitled, and we believe that the government owes us something. Now, even those people that don't pay their taxes, they believe that they're owed something by the government, and the government kind of perpetuates that idea, as it were, by telling people they're gonna give them things. Like, for example, the Biden administration currently telling people that took out student loans that the government is going to forgive those loans, even though that issue was taken to the judiciary, and the judiciary said, you in the administrative branch do not have the authority in order to do that. The Biden administration says, well, I'm still going to find a way to forgive these loans that are guaranteed by the government. You took out a loan, you signed your on the dotted line, you agreed that you were going to get money, and then you would pay it back, and then you turn around and renege on that. Bad form, bad form. Bad form for the government and the Biden administration, bad form for you if you think that somehow an education is owed to you and the government has to pay for it. So we have a society that is basically entitled, and we have a society that loves victimhood. Everybody likes to be a victim. And so I go back to what I said earlier in regard to a whole industry that is set up to say that the IRS is an oppressor, and the government, because of the IRS, is an oppressor, and you as a citizen is a victim. Again, that's nonsense. Listen, when you walk out your door, you have all these services which are provided to you, and you're paying taxes in order to participate in all those services. That's citizenship right there. And if you pay your taxes, then like I said, good for you. You're a patriot. If you don't pay your taxes, then you're scrounging off of people who do pay their taxes. And that should not be seen. You should not be seen as a victim. You should be seen as somebody who is not pulling their weight and carrying their fair share. Now, there may be some of you out there who don't like that and you think that it's a little bit harsh. That's the reality of life. Listen, I'm an old man, so nobody has given me anything that I didn't work for and I'm grateful for. But I will tell you this, I've traveled a good portion of the world, and the United States has one of the most amazing infrastructures and things available here because of people paying their taxes. So regardless of where you go, taxation is a necessary element. So those are the three things that I think are the most that deal with the issue of branding. How can we battle this? Well, as I said before, the IRS could look at different ways to rebrand itself to show taxation as not a negative, but a positive. The industry surrounding taxation could do a better job at trying to, although it would not be, some people might view it as self-defeating, but could do a better job of promoting an understanding in the general public of the issue of taxation. For example, we're coming up on the tax season pretty quick. You know what you're going to hear? You're going to hear all these commercials from various places, vendors that are going to be, talking about, they can get the most refund for you. They can do the best for you. You know what? The reality of it is, and I'm going to do a video dealing with this, the reality of it is that you're not getting a refund if you're not due a refund. And it's very simple to know whether you do a refund or not. The tax system is set up so that you can tell how much of a refund you may have coming or whether you're going to end up owing. The tax system is set up so that there are guidelines given so you know the best way to deal with that. And the reality of it is if you are getting, here's my rule of thumb in regard to this. If you are getting more than $250 back when you file your tax return, or you owe more than $250 when you file your tax return, then you're not understanding how the system works. Because the reality of it is that tax is already owed and the government pays no interest on any type of refund that you have coming. That's the reason why they process refund returns quick, so that they can do it within a 45-day window before they have to pay interest. Look, the industry doesn't tell you about those types of things. So there could be a better explanation of those things, but instead the industry self-promotes and goads people into believing that somehow they're going to get all this money back when they file their taxes. It's an educational process, and that's one of the reasons why I'm doing these videos, is to better educate people in how that works. As far as the general public is concerned, I have no contempt for the general public. I'm just saying that we have brought up a couple of generations of individuals who do not understand civics. They don't understand how laws come into being. They don't understand their participation in that. We even have elements of society today that are trying to destroy our country by how it is that they act, and their regard, or should I say disregard, and respect for the laws that we have, that all of us live together, so that we can be and continue to be the amazing nation that this is. And so those three things deal, I believe, with the misrepresentation of the Internal Revenue Service and how it interacts with the publics. Tell me what you think. If you like or dislike what I have to say, that's fine. Make a comment, but please be careful that your comment is constructive and productive and not counterproductive. And if you like videos like this, and there's going to be plenty more, then hit the like button and subscribe. So with that, I'll sign out for today. And just remember, as I said earlier, not to be redundant or to repeat myself, but the basic theory of taxation is, if you're going to play, you got to pay.